Hey, this is Andrea Sloniker coming to you from my kitchen in Portland, Oregon, where today I'm going to be showing you how to make kolaches. So kolaches are a pastry that I loved when I was growing up in Nebraska. It's actually a Czech pastry that was brought over from the old world, and we had them at weddings and bake sales and polka dances. Yep, polka dances. That happened when I was growing up. The first step is to bloom yeast in a little bit of the flour, sugar, and some warm milk. I like to measure flour like this. Gets a little messy, but always scoop the flour into the measuring cup rather than digging it in because you get a lot more flour that way. This is a much more consistent measuring technique. Third cup of sugar, and it'll be 1 packet of yeast if you buy the little packets. I buy it in bulk, so I'm just gonna measure it. You're gonna want about 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast. Okay, so I've got some milk over here on the stove that I'm warming up. And I want it to be between about 110 and 115 degrees Fahrenheit. In the meantime, I'm gonna whisk the dry ingredients together so they're all nicely incorporated. Okay, it's at about 110 degrees right now, so that's perfect. And I'm gonna bring in the ingredients for the next step, which is to whisk together some melted butter with some egg yolks and some salt. And the melted butter, I'm just gonna do in the same pot that I did the milk. It's all dairy, it's totally fine. In the meantime, I will separate my egg yolks. You can either separate them, between the shells, or I like to do it just in my hand directly. I feel like it's a little more control, it's less likely to break the yolk. So, get rid of all this. Oh my God. I'm also gonna add a teaspoon of kosher salt. Okay, so the butter's melted. I will kind of slowly whisk this in. You don't want the butter to be super hot. This might have been a little too hot, but it's fine. Okay, so that is ready to go. So we've got tiny little bubbles on the surface. It won't be really active. You'll just see little teeny tiny bubbles. So at this point, I'm just gonna give this another whisk. Add the butter and egg yolk mixture to the yeast mixture. Just gonna incorporate these two together. Then what we'll do is start adding more flour to this mixture, a little at a time, about a cup at a time, so that I get kind of a firm dough that is a little tacky, not sticky, something that we can knead. So kolaches, the dough is a lot like brioche actually, because it's so eggy and it's kind of tender and soft. Okay, so I'm getting to the point where it is getting kind of stiff to be stirring it. So what I'll do now is put a little bit of flour on my countertop, and then it's just a process of kneading the dough. And I can tell that this feels really sticky at this point, so I'm probably gonna have to add a little bit more flour than I just incorporated. So it's really important that you don't add too much flour because we want the pastry to be really soft and kind of moist, not too dry and hard. So I'm just gonna knead it for about 3 or 4 minutes. So it's like my hand kind of sticks to it, but it's not sticky, if you know what I mean. It's kind of like tacky. The dough feels really soft and supple, super pretty, love the feel of it. Beautiful yellow color. So at this point, I'm gonna put it into a bowl. And I feel like it's kind of greasy enough that I don't really need to grease the bowl. Maybe I'll regret that later, but at this point, I feel like I don't need to grease it. So I'm just gonna cover it and set it aside in a warm place for about an hour to an hour and a half for it to rise. It'll double in size. Okay, actually, I'm going to put this in my toaster oven, which sounds weird, but I have a setting on my toaster oven that is warm, and that will be the perfect baking temperature. So I'm not gonna put a towel in my toaster oven. Give me the foil. I'm going to put foil. That will prevent me from burning my house down. Okay, let's put it in the toaster oven. Here's that. You're literally filming me cleaning up. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you how to make one of the fillings for this recipe. Okay, so what I need to do is separate yet another egg. This time, I don't wanna wash my hands again, so I'm just doing it in the shell. Okay, that'll go in there. 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar, lemon zest, and we're looking for about 1 teaspoon. I always estimate that a small lemon is about 1 teaspoon, so I'm gonna do this whole lemon. I got some cream cheese out of the fridge about an hour ago. I'm hoping that it's about at room temperature. I just like to cut it up just so it kind of blends a little bit easier once I turn the motor on. All right, so I'm doing the paddle attachment for this, and just gonna turn it on to medium and beat it until it's nicely whipped and incorporated. Okay, I'm gonna stop and scrape down the sides of the bowl once. Let it go about 30 seconds more. Okay, so I'm just gonna transfer this to a little bowl and set this aside until our kolaches are done. Gotta get every last drop. It looks really yellow because my yolks are so yellow, it's crazy. Our dog was snoring and we can literally hear it on the camera, I'm sure. Now I'm gonna make a little streusel topping that goes on the kolaches. It's a really traditional little crumb topping. A little more butter, just 1 tablespoon of melted butter. 2 tablespoons of flour, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and an 1/8 teaspoon of salt. I'm just gonna eyeball that. So whisk the dry ingredients together first. Okay, so I'm just gonna drizzle in the butter and stir it together. It should be really crumbly, and after the butter solidifies, I'll kind of come back and stir it again, and it will really form little crumbly pieces. Okay. Oh, nice and poofy. And next I'm just gonna divide it into 12 pieces, and I'm a little bit obsessive, so I am going to use a scale. We're looking for about 2 1/3 ounces per dough ball. Perfect. Okay, that one's a little small. Oh my God, I'm a machine now. The next part is the fun part. I'm gonna form these all into little balls and roll them against the counter. Okay, so I like to kind of fold over the end so it starts to form a little ball, and then put it on the counter and start. Okay, so now I'm gonna see if I can do 2 at a time. Oh yeah. Now I'm like a professional kolache baker, so I can do 2 at a time. Like a DJ. So I can do a song. Like first base with the dough.
What's second base with the dough?
I don't want to talk about it. This dough feels so good. It's kind of a little bit greasy, but it's so soft and like just pillowy. I love it. Okay, they're beautifully risen and super poofy, and I always feel like they're like marshmallows. So I'm making little wells in the center of each one with my fingers. That's where our fillings go. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is brush them with a little egg wash. It's just 1 egg yolk with 1 tablespoon of milk. And I always make sure to kind of get the edges too, because all the edges will show. Be liberal, but don't make them too sopping wet. Now, the cream cheese filling. So I'll put about a tablespoon or so of the filling in the center of each one. Spread it around a little bit. Make another well where the jam will go. And if you don't like cream cheese or you don't want it in all of them, then you can just skip it on some of them and do just a little bit more jam in the center. I'm gonna leave these last 2 without the cream cheese, just for fun. Okay, so we're gonna grab out some jam because I don't feel like making the cherry filling right now since it's not cherry season. So it's perfectly acceptable to use whatever kind of jam you have in your fridge. I have some blueberry, which would be great. Apple butter could be interesting. I've never tried it with a fruit butter, but I think that will work. Apricot is super classic. Ooh, this is one of my favorite ones. Quince marmalade, that might be kind of fun. Okay, so blueberry. start with blueberry. There we go, that one's a fresh one. So apricot's my favorite. A little more on that one. Now let's do some strawberry. This is gonna be so pretty. They're gonna have all these colors, like a rainbow of kolaches. I wanna do some of this quince. I think that'll be really cool. Perfect. And now the apple butter. So I'm gonna do the apple butter in the empty tube. Okay, now we have the streusel topping. And it got kind of hard because the butter is now cold and it's all solidified. So I'm just gonna kind of break it up a little bit into these really tiny little pebbles. I don't wanna break up too much. I just want the big chunks to be a little bit smaller. I'm gonna use absolutely every last bit of this because I love it. Even the little bits that hit the baking sheet and don't even make it onto a kolache end up being super crunchy and yummy at the end. I just like to snack on them. Okay, there we go. So these are ready for the oven. Okay, we got the oven at 375. And they're gonna take about 20 minutes. I can smell them, they look amazing. Okay, right at 20 minutes, they're looking good. Okay, look at those. They're all puffy and beautiful. They have a really nice golden crust. I love the lacquered, kind of shiny exterior from the egg wash. And yeah, they look awesome. I wish you guys could smell what we are smelling. Oh my gosh, look at that. So it pulls apart, has this beautiful flaky dough. So good. Oh my God, yum. I love all the lemon zest, and the quince marmalade is super cool. It has like this, I don't know, just kind of almost apple-like flavor. It's super good. So after they're all cooled, I love to tear them all apart and wrap them individually in plastic wrap and put them in my freezer. And they end up being this fabulous little treat to reheat whenever you get the craving. All right, Buddy, you wanna try it? Oh, he loves it. So kolaches are a really fun afternoon baking project. I am super into all these flavors, so have fun with all of the jams that you might have on hand. And I can tell you that my dog Cass really, really likes it a lot.